It's 1 a.m. You're lying in bed, and for some reason everything is clear. You know exactly what you need to do. Wake up early, fix the diet, start the thing, finally get serious. The plan feels airtight. The feeling is real. You genuinely believe tomorrow is the day everything changes. Then the alarm goes off, and you feel nothing. The plan that felt like destiny 8 hours ago now feels like something a stranger wrote. You hit snooze. By noon, you can barely remember what you were so certain about. And then you do what you always do. You call it a discipline problem. It isn't. It's two completely different versions of your brain operating the same body at different times of day. Here's what's actually happening. Your prefrontal cortex, right behind your forehead, is basically a bouncer. Every idea you have during the day gets checked at the door. Is this realistic? Have you tried this before? What happens if it doesn't work? Most ideas don't make it through, and that's a good thing. That's why you don't quit your job every time your boss irritates you. That's why you don't text your ex every time a song reminds you of them. But the bouncer runs on glucose, and by 10:11 p.m., after thousands of decisions, he's running on fumes, still standing at the door, but half asleep, letting everyone in. So at 1 a.m., when your brain generates, "I'm going to completely restructure my life starting tomorrow," the thing that would normally say, "Relax, you said this last Tuesday," is too tired to respond. The idea walks straight through. Unchecked, unquestioned. And because nothing challenged it, it feels true. You're not more motivated at night. You're less filtered. Those feel identical from the inside. And while the bouncer sleeps, something else happens. Your emotional brain, your amygdala, doesn't fatigue. It's built for survival. It runs all night. And during the day, your rational brain keeps it at a manageable volume, suppresses it just enough so you can think. When the rational brain tires out, that suppression weakens. The emotional brain doesn't get louder. The thing keeping it quiet gets softer. Same effect. This is why music hits different at 2 a.m., why regret shows up at midnight and never at lunch, why the motivation at 1 a.m. feels so real, so physical, in a way that afternoon motivation never does. Because it isn't rational motivation. It's your feeling brain at full volume while the thinking brain is passed out. And emotional certainty is convincing in a way that logic never is. You feel it in your chest. You feel the urgency. But the feeling isn't a plan, and it doesn't survive what happens next. While you sleep, your brain does memory consolidation. It takes everything from the day and decides what to keep. And here's how it decides. It prioritizes things connected to existing neural pathways, things you've done before, things that match your established patterns. Your 1 a.m. plan has no pathway. It was born 8 hours ago in a low-filter, high-emotion state. Your brain has nowhere to file it, so it gets deprioritized, not deleted, just pushed somewhere between vaguely remember and was that a dream. Meanwhile, your existing habits, your existing patterns, your existing identity, those get reinforced every single night. Sleep strengthens the neural pathways you already use and weakens the ones you don't. So you wake up and the version of you that has existed for years is neurologically stronger than it was yesterday, and the 1 a.m. version is weaker. The old you got a software update overnight, then the alarm goes off, and your prefrontal cortex doesn't snap back on immediately. It takes 20 to 30 minutes to fully reboot. So in those first moments, you're feeling the resistance of the old pattern without the reasoning to override it. And your brain, half awake, runs a quick check. Do I normally do this? Is this consistent with who I am? What happened last time? It runs that check against the old model, the one that just got reinforced, not the 1 a.m. plan, the identity that's been there for years. The plan gets rejected before your feet hit the floor. Now here's why this matters beyond brain facts. Think about how many times this has happened, not just morning routines. The business idea that felt obvious at midnight and embarrassing by Wednesday. The conversation you were finally going to have. The boundary you were going to set. The price you were going to raise. Every single one followed the same sequence. Low filter. High emotion. No consolidation. Rejected by the old model before the day even started. And every time it happened, your brain filed it under something. You're the kind of person who makes plans and doesn't follow through. And that story became part of the model, which made the next one, AM plan, even less likely to survive. You didn't fail 100 times. You ran into the same wall 100 times and called it a character flaw. The 1 AM version of you isn't weak. It's just making promises to a version of you that was never consulted. And that version, the one that wakes up, runs the check, rejects the plan, isn't going anywhere until the model changes. Not until the morning brain gets new data to run the check against. That's not a motivation problem. That's who you've been telling yourself you are.